Hello there, once again Game of Thrones fans. Before I start this video, I just want to give you a massive apology for the lateness of this last review for episode 7, which is the final episode in the season of season 7, which is a bit sad actually, because it means that we haven't got any more videos that I can do after this, apart from there's going to be one more. But yeah, I do apologise for the lateness of the video. I didn't actually get to watch the episode itself until Saturday, when it was aired on Monday in the UK, and that's because I was actually sunning myself in Tenerife for a week. So I went last Friday and came back and landed this Saturday morning. So that's why I didn't get to watch it until Saturday. And now I'm only doing the video today on Monday. So it's actually this video is going out a week after the video aired. So yeah, I do apologise about that. Before we start this review, as always, we need to issue a spoiler alert because it's going to ruin the episode for you who haven't watched it. So yeah, I just want to say that now before anyone moans at me that I've ruined the episode for them. So yeah, let's get started with this review. So, the title of the season finale for season 7 was The Dragon and the Wolf. Now, I assume that's because it's showing Daenerys and Jon's union with one another. It's showing that they are united force against Cersei and her allies. But it also just gives you a little bit of an idea of, I suppose, Jon's parentage as well, which we'll come on to a bit later, because obviously he is the son of a dragon and a wolf. He's the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, who's a Targaryen, obviously, and a dragon, therefore. And he's also the son of Lyanna Stark, who is a wolf, because that's the House Sigil. And now my 5 words are under this week. I have 3, but I must say there is a little bit of explanation on the end. So my 3 words are a fitting end. So that's a fitting end. Now I must say, obviously, that is to the season and not the series. Because obviously the series is we've got one more season to go, which is next season 8, which doesn't even have 6 episodes in it. So that will be where we see the end of the series. But this is a fitting end to the season, and you'll see why as we go through this episode. As the events in King's Landing were quite extensive this week, I've split it up into 2 parts, and I will show the King's Landing animation at the beginning of both parts so that you're aware of where we are still geographically in Westeros. Now, the arrival at the Dragon Pit and the reunion of many characters that we've seen in the past. So, for example, Tyrion, Bronn and Pod being reunited for the first time since season 4 was great to watch, and also reminded us of past events that have happened, obviously leading up to this point where we are at now, where sort of the living are almost banding together against the dead. Daenerys' dramatic entrance was brilliant. The fact that she flew on Drogon was obviously brilliant because it showed Cersei that she has got quite a lot of power in the form of the dragon. She's got a lot of power in the form of the Dothraki and the Unsullied that she brought straight to the King's Landing front door almost. Now, the reveal of the White to Cersei was well performed. I thought Elena Headey's initial fear was really shown on her face. You could really see the fear in Cersei's eyes, and Euron leaving seemed quite cowardly to me, given that we've seen him quite, ruthless throughout the whole of the season so far. He's had quite a lot of violent things, and he's sort of taken a lot of people hostage and everything else. So he seems to be quite a not fearful character almost, sort of the opposite of fearful. Quite brave, that's what I want to talk about. So that was what I was going to say, sorry. So the fact that he left seemed quite cowardly. Now, Cersei's offer to help fight in the Great War, as it's being dubbed now, on the condition of Jon's neutrality between the 2 queens, so he's not supposed to take any side, was quite an interesting offer, I thought. What did she hope to gain from that? Did she hope to gain Jon's support later on, or did she just want a smaller force to fight? Because obviously Daenerys has wiped out quite a lot of her forces at the end of episode 4, the spoils of war. I don't really know what she was hoping to gain from it. It seemed a very random choice and offer to make, I thought, on Cersei's part, sorry. And Jon says that he had already sworn himself to Daenerys, and Cersei basically retracted her support. Now, in some ways, it was quite good to see that Jon has supported Daenerys and is finally looking at her as his queen. But also at the same time, they really needed Cersei's help with this, because obviously the White Walkers aren't. But the White Walkers are dangerous, and they really need all the help they can get. So by sort of making her withdraw her support, I don't think was quite the right move on Jon's part. Now, King's Landing Part 2 then, we had the conversation between Tyrion and Cersei, which I thought was fantastically acted by Peter Dinklage and Lena Headey. Had me on edge throughout. Any scene really that those two are together in are fantastic. They're both brilliant actors, and I thought that was really well performed and really well written, and yeah, I just loved everything about that scene. Now, Cersei's agreement to send her army north to fight the White Walkers confused me further, because I was trying to work out what did Tyrion say to her. Did he tell her that, you know, this is really a real threat and that they need all the help they can get? Did he betray Daenerys and basically tell Cersei, to lie to Jon, as he had advised to Jon to lie to Cersei? It seems to me that Tyrion, I don't think, would betray Daenerys for Cersei, but I mean, maybe because he loves, he loves Cersei and Jaime's children, that because she's pregnant again, he decided to betray Daenerys for Cersei. I don't know what he said to her in that room. It was annoying that they cut away from that. And Cersei, obviously later on in the episode, revealed to Jaime that she had lied to Jon and Daenerys and that she had no intention of riding north, or rather sending her army north. So we've obviously realised now, and obviously Cersei admitted, that Euron has left for Essos to transport the Golden Company to Westeros, so that she has a bigger army to fight against the winning side in this battle to come, between the army and the dead and the living. So obviously this is an interesting development. So Euron isn't actually the coward we thought he was. It turns out that Cersei had a plan all along, and that actually Euron leaving was part of that plan, which was quite an interesting development, I thought, in this sort of storyline. And Jaime basically refused to break his word and rides north alone, but Cersei did threaten to have the Mountain kill him, but obviously the Mountain didn't, because I think that obviously Cersei loves Jaime. She's not going to want him, she doesn't want to kill him and be responsible for his death, because she loves him, which is obviously quite an advantage on Jaime's part, because it meant that he's now able to ride north and sort of fulfill his promises to Catelyn, really, in that he would return his the daughters, Sansa and Arya, safely back to Winterfell. And winter has now arrived at King's Landing as well. The snow was falling, which was a really interesting sort of development. It's nice to see that we have got winter everywhere over the continent of Westeros now. It's not just up the north, it's everywhere. It's falling everywhere, which is good. So yeah, we're going to be interesting to see what happens now that winter has fallen in King's Landing. I cannot wait to see what happens next season. So we're going to look at In the Narrow Sea / Dragonstone, which is why you're seeing the Dragonstone animation now on your screens. Tyrion sees Jon enter Daenerys' cabin on their ship when they were sailing back to Dragonstone, and they have sex, which was sort of a bit inevitable, I think. That's Jon and Daenerys, not Tyrion and Daenerys. So the dragon and the wolf have been united. They've been united together in their in sex, basically. And then back on Dragonstone in the War Council room, Daenerys and her sort of band and her company, whatever you want to call it, plan to travel to Winterfell. Now, Jorah Mormont advised that flying there would be the best option because she'd be safer, and also she would be protected because she'd have Drogon with her. But she decided to travel by sea and land with Jon so that she can try and rally support from the Northerners, which was quite a good idea, I think, actually, on her part. And I think that was probably the best option that she could have gone for. But also at the same time, it was putting her at risk. So I think we might see her demise next season, possibly in this final season. And Theon's doubts about preserving Ned's legacy was quite interesting. And his conversation with Jon was really, really good. I thought that we're starting to see the old Theon now again, and Jon called him a Greyjoy and a Stark, and that actually he said that both of them are preserving Ned Stark's legacy through just living and through living an honourable life. Now, Theon did decide finally to save Yara from Euron, but one of the Ironborn basically objected to him being their leader because he obviously jumped off the ship in episode 2, Stormborn. And it was a little bit weird, I think, for Theon to become up against opposition from the Ironborn themselves. And Theon basically killed him in a brutal fight, which was quite interesting, actually, to watch Theon gain strength. And basically destroy the other bloke. And the others have joined him in saving Yara, so hopefully that'll be one of the earliest sort of storylines we get next season, will be Theon and the other Ironborn saving Yara from Euron Greyjoy. Now in Winterfell this week we had some very interesting developments. Sansa and Littlefinger's discussion about Arya really made me nervous for Arya. I thought that Arya was going to be killed this episode. I was really worried. I was rooting for Arya from the beginning, but now it seemed like she was going to be killed. Sansa's change of mind during the trial, no, that was brilliant. I thought that was a fantastically acted scene by all people in it. Littlefinger's death was quite unexpected, but it was a welcome death, I think. I was quite glad that he died, and actually now I'm sort of, it's probably my most satisfactory death of this season, actually, that Littlefinger's dead, because I didn't really like him. He's a bit of a creep, but I really thought Aidan Gillen, or Gillen, whatever his name is a fantastic actor, because he played him so well that made me hate him, but also love to hate him as well. So I really thought that his death was quite unexpected, but I did enjoy the scene itself, the overall scene. And it was lovely to see Arya and Sansa complementing each other's strength. But obviously they have now banded together and decided to work together to make themselves stronger, which I really liked. The fact that that's obviously come together. Now Sam arrived also at Winterfell with Gilly and Little Sam and met with Bran. And Bran has revealed basically Jon's true parentage, and Sam confirms that Rhaegar annulled his marriage to Elia Martell, and basically confirmed that he had married Lyanna Stark of Winterfell, Ned Stark's sister, if you're not entirely sure of the history, who was actually supposed to be engaged to Robert Baratheon. However, Rhaegar Targaryen supposedly kidnapped and raped Lyanna Stark, which started Robert's rebellion, which was sort of a prequel to the events of Game of Thrones. If you want to find out more about that, there's so much stuff that George R.R. Martin has written. There's stuff that fans have written on the wiki pages. There's so many different sort of histories that you can read up on Westeros. I think there's also a book called The History of Westeros, which I've never actually seen or read, but actually a lot of the books as well give you sort of a backstory to the history of Westeros, which is quite good. So the books of The Song of Ice and Fire are really good for that. Anyway, we're getting away from the point here. Jon's real name, as revealed by Bran, is Aegon Targaryen, which means he, as the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, and as he was not a bastard, he is actually the true heir to the Iron Throne. I, to be honest, didn't see that one coming. I thought that he would be a bastard of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, but I didn't even think about the fact that he would be the true heir to the Iron Throne. That was a bit of a curveball for me, and I really thought that was well revealed. And I just really liked that scene in general. I thought that whole sort of reveal of Jon's true parentage and seeing Bran in the vision, hearing Aegon and hearing Jon's name as Aegon for the first time was really, really good. And I really, really cannot wait to see how Jon reacts when he finds out who he actually is, and how Daenerys reacts when she finds out that he's actually her nephew, and that actually he has more of a blood claim than she does to the Iron Throne. That would be an interesting conversation to have, and I cannot wait to see that in Season 8. And finally, the last location on the map this week is Eastwatch by the Sea. Now, Beric and Tormund, Beric Dondarrion, that is, and Tormund Giantsbane are patrolling the wall. The army of the dead arrive, sort of almost out of nowhere, out of the woods it seems. So they've got quite a long way since the battle on the lake in last week's episode. Now the Night King was riding the undead Viserion, who breathed blue fire. Yes, blue fire, it was fantastic. Viserion destroyed Eastwatch and a section of the wall, which was beautifully visual effects. I thought beautiful visual effects even. It was just fantastically put together and looked amazing and sounded great, and I don't know, it was just fantastic overall. And the White Walkers and the Whites, so basically the whole army of the dead with the giants, with Viserion, have entered the Seven Kingdoms. Which means that the continent is screwed. So that's going to be a fantastic start to Season 8. I cannot wait to see what happens with this storyline. This is like the best storyline ever. This is what we've been waiting for since Season 1. Since the pre-credit sequence of Season 1, this is what we've been waiting for. This final battle between the White Walkers and the Living has been what we've been waiting for since Season 1. And I cannot wait to see where they take it next. So then my overall conclusion for this episode, let's have a look at this overall conclusion. I thought it was a brilliant end to the season. A season that has been a little bit rocky in places, I thought, but this episode was almost flawless throughout. I thought the acting was impressive, or the acting was brilliant. I thought the visual effects were impressive. My sort of what I really liked about it was that it reminded me of the first sort of the first 3 seasons, where there was a lot of talking to each other and a lot of exposition, a lot of storytelling, but there wasn't a huge amount of action, which in some ways is what sort of drew me into the story in the first place. It sort of drew me into the show because I like the fact that it was almost like a diplomacy. It was very much diplomatic in the way that it dealt with issues that you could sort of see in the modern world, but in a political sort of fantasy way, and I really like that. But actually the violence or the action is what we've also come to love. So that's my only sort of criticism, is it could have balanced that out a little bit more and had a tiny bit more action maybe, as opposed to the sort of a long sort of scene of talking in the dragon pit, and also then conversations between the Lannisters, conversations between the Starks. There might have been a little bit more action that could have been sort of eked out of it, but I think overall it was just a brilliant end to the season, which brings my overall rating not quite to 10 out of 10 as last year's season finale was. Season 6 finale was 10 out of 10 because it was just so beautifully put together. But I'm having to give this episode a 9 out of 10, which is still a very high rating, but obviously because it didn't quite have as much action as I would have liked, I have to just put it down to 9 out of 10, unfortunately. If I was going on storyline and acting alone, and not the sort of overall episode, it would be 10 out of 10. But because it's everything as one, it has to be a 9 out of 10 for me. Now, that's the end of the season. I will be doing another video which sums up all of my thoughts of the season in one sort of video, where I'll be talking about my favourite character development moments, my favourite moments overall, some moments that I thought were a little bit weak and could have been a bit better as well, I will talk about. Yeah, and that's really about it. That's all I've got to say about this episode. I really hope you enjoyed the episode as well as much as I did. If you did, comment in the comments below, sorry, what you thought of it, which bit you liked best and which bits you didn't maybe like. Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel. You can go back and watch the rest of the season 7 reviews for Game of Thrones, the season 6 reviews. If any of you are interested in Gotham, I've got my Gotham season 2 reviews as well. Yeah, just go and watch anything you want on my channel page. There's so much to choose from. Yeah, I thank you very much, guys. I'll probably be doing the other video for the whole of season 7 either tomorrow or Wednesday, so that'll be up pretty soon, hopefully. Yeah, I thank you very much for watching, guys. Goodbye.